Good afternoon, my name's Braden Rant from Second Life, and today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at one of the things that is often perceived as being a difficult part of the texturing process, which is projection painting. In particular, what I've chosen to do today is to show you how to projection paint a head. The reason I've chosen to do a head is obviously because this will be going on YouTube. Any sign of genitalia, etc., may break the acceptable use of YouTube. Right, so what we have is we have the Second Life avatar, which you can see here. In particular, I've chosen a woman's one for no particular reason. It could be a woman's or a man. The avatar is still split into its three separate parts of the head, upper body and the lower body, but we're just going to be focusing on the head. Right, okay, so let's get started. Right, the first thing we need to do is, as you can see, we have a unwrap, which for anybody who's ever had a skin or made a skin, is the unwrap that Second Life uses for its avatar. We don't want to change this, mainly because if you're making for something like Second Life and using projection methods as a basis, it's a very good idea to stick within the realms of the known entity. So what we're going to do is say we've got the unwrap here, and we're going to be projection painting onto this texture. Now at the moment, although it is unwrapped, it doesn't actually have a texture that goes with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change from UV text and call it, I'm going to call it full text. Right, and then we'll create a new document, and I'll call this, just for example, head texture. And it's 1024 by 1024. It's a good idea to do things at a reasonably high resolution, and then you can always crank it down to 512 for Second Life. Okay, so we'll OK that, and we have our base texture. Right, so now we've got the full texture for something to project to, we need to have something to project from. So as we've got the head here, what we can do is if we go into a sideways view and I was to box select the head, and I'll remove any vertices that I don't necessarily want to keep at this point, it looks like quite a clear a clear unwrap, like so. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to invert that selection, and I'll hide. Now as you can see, on the inside of the head we've still got all the mouth and the teeth and various other things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select, in fact what I'll do is I'll go to face select, and I'll select a few, and then I can Control L and hide those. Right, I'll just turn on that. There we go. And of course there's the inside of the mouth, which is in this case the teeth. So I'll select those. I'll select those. And I'll select those. And we can hide those as well. And the last item here is the tongue, so we'll select that and we'll hide that as well. Okay, so now we've selected all the mouth, etc. There should be no eyes on there. We've got no need to worry about the body. We're only projecting the head at the present moment. Right, so what we need to do is we need to highlight that particular selection, and then we can go to image and we can bring in an image that we want to project from. I've got a selection of pictures from 3ds K, which I'm going to use to show how to projection paint. So I've got this particular one. I've loaded it in, so I should be able to drag that up now. He says, there we go. Right, and we've got the face. Now, as you can see, it's probably going to be quite difficult to project paint like that, but we've already got a texture that we want to use, so I'm going to create this one, which will be front view. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to unwrap and project from view. Right, now as you can see, that's now given a better unwrap to project the image from. Right, so we select it and we'll roughly move it as to where we want it to be. And as you can see, this is actually quite a reasonable fit. It's a little bit off, but we can scale that and move it into a position that it would probably find more useful. Once we get it into a rough place, what we can then do is we can actually start to move things around and get it to work more towards a position that we want it to be. So if I was to grab hold of a few of the vertices on the side here, and I was to grab them, I'll increase my proportional editing and I'll move them out, and we can keep on doing that one vertex at a time. Bring it out to the edge. If there's any over, we can pull them back in again. Like food, I'll just pull that one in there. The head's actually in a reasonably good position. It's a little bit over to one side, but it's really not too bad. So I'm going to grab the corners of the eyes and drag them in. Try and get it as good as you can at this stage. Obviously, the more resources that you use, the more source pictures, the better end result that you're going to get for detail. The nostrils in particular are quite difficult. You can see here where there's a pole and there's a pole. That's where the actual nostrils are. So I'm going to grab those and bring them down as well as I can. This side of the nose needs to come out a little bit more. It needs to come in a little bit. As you can see, the centre of this this particular picture is a little bit off, and the mouth isn't ideal, but we can actually work with it, so I'm not particularly worried. I need to move this top lip further down. We can see, purely by the fact that this particular picture, the woman in question has some quite heavy lip gloss. So we can shape the lips to roughly the right location. We can make any further adjustments later. We should soon see what's right and what isn't right. So we've put the UV into a rough location as to where we want on the actual image. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to change it from edit mode and turn it to texture paint. Now you can see straight away that this particular image has it's actually mapped quite well. It's not got a particular great lighting, and as you know from the SL avatar anyway, you can get some rather strange seams. But we can also see that her mouth is open on this particular model. Normally the SL mouth is closed. Unfortunately, I've used a a model which still has all its shape keys, but that's not really a big problem. But we can see from what we saw there that there's still a little bit of adjustment required for the mouth. So I need to bring in those corners and try and smarten up what we have got. It's better to have an avatar with a closed mouth rather than an open mouth, purely due to the fact that that's normally how the static pose is in Second Life. So we'll just try and get that as approximate as possible. I'm not really happy with the mouth, but the example here is that I'm trying to show you how to projection paint rather than how to do a particularly great job of it. Now, what we do from this point is we're in projection mode in texture paint. So what we need to do is we need to decide what's going to be painted and from where is it going to be painted. So we go to our project paint mode, and then we turn on stencil, and then we also turn on layer. Now what we're doing is we're going from the full texture and we're going from the front view. Right. So I'm going to go to the front view here. As you can see, it looks rather dreadful, but that's okay. That is okay, so don't worry. Right, so what we're going to do, I'll just make sure that everything is as it should be. Right, there we go. Right, and then what we can do is we can go to projection paint, and we're going from the full text from the front view. Right, so what we'll do is we can do absolutely nothing, because as you can see it's not bringing it over, and I suspect the reason that is because I've changed what the front view is, which for that is still correct, and the full texture should also be correct, but I've noticed that the front view is greyed out. So let's have a quick look at this. I'll pause the video and I'll get straight back on again. Right, excuse me. Right, okay. I found out what was wrong, and as silly as it might sound, I forgot to actually change my brush to the clone tool. It was still on draw. So just bear that in mind. We all do make mistakes. Right, okay, so I've increased the strength up to 100. And now we are going from the front view as the layer, and the stencil is what we're painting to, which is the full texture. So what we can do is literally we can just paint over the model, and we're actually projection painting from what we have on the picture on the right over to the model on the left. So I'm going to paint this out, and then we'll move on and I'll show you the next step, and I'll pause the video while I do this so you don't have to sit and watch me do it. Okay, so now I've done the front of the face. You'll also notice that I've managed to get rid of that rather unsightly crease that was going down the front of the face. The reason I've done this, purely while the face looked terrible, is I've got rid of the doubles that created a seam. Obviously the SL avatar does have doubles, and that's not always a good thing, especially when trying to formulate a texture. The lips in particular still aren't great. The eyes are actually okay. I don't like these lips. I'll probably end up changing them anyway, and finding another person's lips to use as the pink outline on a pink lipstick isn't really something that I think would go well with the overall effect that I'm trying to achieve with this model. So now we've got the front projection from there. We need to unhide our our mesh, and we need to go for a side view. So I'll go head on and I'll select half of the vertices on the face. I'll need to turn that off so I can get the ones at the back, like so, and I'll hide those. And again, we've still got all of the mouth internals because we did unhide those, so we need to select those again so that we can get rid of them. Again, just hide, don't delete. In general, things like teeth and tongue in SL generally use the same teeth and tongue, so you don't really have to texture them. You can grab them off of there's plenty of free templates around that you can get the mouth internals from without having to worry about getting it yourself. Right, so okay, so we've got a side view there. So now we've got that side view, I'm going to create another new texture, or rather a new UV map, and I'll put it to left side. So we've got a left side view, and obviously there we have the full texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to full texture, and this does sometimes happen. If it does happen, you can literally just paint over what you've done already. I'll increase the radius of the brush just so we can do it in larger swoops. And as you can see in the UV window editor on the right hand side, as the image is being painted onto the full texture is actually starting to pick those parts up. What we're trying to achieve here is remove the amount of stretching overall. Textures, especially projection painted textures, do tend to stretch quite a lot, so it's a good idea to use as many reference photos as you can to get a good overall, and then try and seam them in as best as you can. So okay, so we've got that full texture, so I'm going to quickly save that. I'm going to save that out so that at least I've got something to work with. So I'll save it over with the rest of the images that I've got, and of course it's the head texture. Right, so that's now got a texture to bake to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move and I'm going to carry on with the left side. Go back into edit mode, and as you can see, this was the last picture that I used. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import a new picture so we can open, and this time I'm going to use I think this one. As you can see, we've got a nice profile picture there, and again you can see that the face is all over the place, so you can go back in onto your main model, and you can just unwrap and again project from view. Again we can approximate as to where we want it to be. Don't worry about things like orientation or which direction that the person's looking, as long as you can get it to roughly match up, you can actually get a reasonably good job. So let's say that we've got something that's about where we want it to be. Probably the most important thing to line up, I should imagine, is the ear. So what I'm going to do is I'll I'll select the ear and then I will select it like so, and then I'm going to grab it with proportional editing so it moves everything with it and pull it over roughly to where I think it should be, and we can also rotate it, and in this instance we can scale it a little bit as well, like so, and then we can actually start to pull everything in so that it starts to match up with what we have. Ears are quite interesting things to do, mainly because they're quite a complicated structure, and most modelers will tell you that they try and stay away from ears as much as possible. It's good practice, of course. I personally don't really have a great deal of problem with ears. I have made a set before, but it's not my favourite, I've got to be completely honest. So again, we're just going in and we're going to line up everything. Try not to go into the white, try and stay as much as possible by staying on skin tones. As you can see, the neck is significantly different to where the neck is positioned on our model. So I've selected just the bottom row there, and I'm going to grab those, turn up my proportional editing. I'm going to move the whole selection forward. Just need to do a little bit of work on the chin, so we can grab that. I'll just bring my proportional editing back in again, bring that up, and again what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a as good of a mask as possible that we want to paint from. So it's good to get it approximate, but don't become obsessed with trying to get it perfect, because you know, no lighting is the same. It's never a perfectly positioned model, real life model that is. So we can get it as close to where we want it to be as possible. Try and approximate also where the hairline is, where the headline would be, especially if they've got a significant amount of hair. This model in particular looks like, because they've got a ponytail, that it's quite risen at the back. I am, however, just going to raise the head a little bit to try and make it as close to what we're trying to achieve as possible. So now we've got that, we can go back to our full texture, and as you can see, everything's still fine there. But now, rather than front view, we're going to change that, and we're going to go, as we called it, our left side, and then we can start to paint on this part of the texture that we wanted to work with. Now on this particular model, as you can see, we've actually got a quite a good colour balance and tone balance on the actual on the reference photos. One thing you will notice though is that it's actually done as a projection, so when you go to paint your ears, you're going to paint the same picture again over the ear. So you may find that your ear is your mesh ear is kind of duplicated on the side of the head where the ear connects. Again, you can go in and you can quite happily paint and at least get the the base of it done. Just move around and try and cover any of the black areas up that you can. Okay, so as you can see, I paused the video there and I continue to paint the side of the head. As you can see from the image on the right of your screen, we have the ear and we have the side of the head painted in. So what we can do from there is what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause. Well, I'll set it up by going again. We go to the UV maps. Don't worry when you change something like that, but we're going to go and create a new one. And again, this time we're doing the right side. And again, we're going to edit mode. We'll block out that side of the face just by box select, and we'll hide. And again, we'll go in and we'll remove the mouth. I mean, it won't paint, don't get me wrong, but it just saves you the hassle at a later date of trying to clean up. It's better just to get it out of the way, so at least you've got a nice clean workspace and you can identify what parts are where. Right, so again, there we go, there's the side of the head. We'll go into the opposite view. We'll select what we want to do there. Again, we're on the right side, so I'm going to bring up a right side picture of open image, and I think that is the one that I want. It certainly is. So what we'll do is, like we have done before, we'll project from view and we'll repeat the process. I'm going to line this up. I'll pause the video and then I'll come back to you once I've done that. So if you'd like to hold on for a second. Okay, so I've done the right side of the model, as you can see. I've also done the back as well as I could, bearing in mind that she's got a ponytail. So I've tried to stop shy of the neck, which does bring me on to another point. As you can see, when you look at it from this side, her ear is actually okay, but if you look at it from the other side, her hair actually covers her ear. So what you can do is you can use a picture and replace any parts, just doing projection painting just as you did before. I mean, for example, you could go in, grab the ear, at least you should be able to go in and grab the ear. No, it's because it's one piece now. But you can go in from the centre. And again, bring out like so, and you can project that, and you can create the ear once more. But until that point, that's basically the basics of projection painting. If you need to do any patching up, like for example behind the ear, you can turn off your layer and you can just use the clone brush as a straight clone brush in texture paint. So like you do with Photoshop, you can just press Control and it will now go from that area there, and you can just paint out any of your problem areas. Try to use the clone brush really in places that it's not going to be noticed too much. The reason being is because you end up with a kind of airbrush effect, which might be what you want. I mean, you know, I don't know, you tell me, but that's really how you get rid of a lot of the issues. You can select texture from wherever you want, try and get your tone as right as you see fit, really. As you can see, I'm just picking tone up from wherever I can find a skin tone of the correct shade. You know, she's a little bit dark down by the ears. I'm going to decrease my strength, up my radius a little bit. There we go, and just try and even out that that skin tone. Again, you can go in wherever you like. And you could even go over seams. I have been asked before, what do you do about seams? But again, you could just go in and paint them out. So that's the basics of projection painting in 30 minutes. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's not ideal. You're going to get various different things like changes in lighting, you know, whether or not they've took a picture of the head or the whole body. Sometimes you get a whole body picture which is really good resolution, and you can really minimize the amount of seams that you have by doing that. There's always going to be additional work. You're still always going to have to go into Photoshop, tidy it up a little bit, but you know, to get the basics together, I mean, you know, half an hour for a face is not bad. But either which way, if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to leave a comment, or go to the blog, or additionally contact me in World as Braden Rant. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.